Hello, YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about why I left the left. This is my official statement. Does this mean that I'm MAGA, Make America Great Again? Not necessarily. But how can someone who is so liberal, bisexual, be on the right? The left has become extreme. It got to the point where mainstream views made me feel conservative. I never related to conservative views. I'm just logical. It's funny how, if you look at history, the pendulum swings. Do people even think about the fact that Abe Lincoln was a Republican? I was a fan of Bernie Sanders. I actually voted for Obama when I was 18.
This is a message to House White, the Congress America. Barack Obama intrude in the affairs of Egypt with the money of American people. Why did to help us in the Muslim Brotherhood? The Muslim Brotherhood is killers and liars. Nobody believes the liars Obama.
And I would like to personally apologize to Egypt for that.
Did you forget 11 September? Don't forget. We are Egyptian women. We don't need any help from Obama. Affairs belong to Egyptian only. So shut up your mouth. Shut up your mouth, everybody.
I'm slightly joking about that though, because your vote doesn't mean anything. Who is going to win will win. We all remember what happened during the last election. I think that a lot of people are leaving the left because they're being pushed out of the left by the left.
If a single one of your beliefs are to the right of our line, then you're on the right, making you the enemy.
The same views that would have been considered moderate left 10 years ago are now considered right-wing.
Now, with the placement of our line, you can see those who were in the middle are now in the middle of the far right.
Oddly enough, my disappointment in the left does not start with an election. It begins with my personal experience with a pedophile. I was in a relationship with someone for 3 years, and during those 3 years, without my knowledge, he was exploiting and abusing underage girls, paying them for nude photos, manipulating them into relations behind my back. For 3 years, he hid this from me. Even though I spent holidays with him, seasons with his family, but someone can only lie for so long until the truth is discovered. I exposed him. You can read that whole story if you like. It's on my Twitter. The point is, the laws that are in place to protect these heinous child abusers, rehabilitation, primarily Democrat, leftist ideologies. My soul is not broken, but my patience was broken. People always like to bring up the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, but I do know that a lot of Catholics are conservative on the right. I don't know if you've heard of the movie Spotlight, but it talks about this at length. There hasn't been a comeuppance or a documentary highlighting the fact that now, primarily, pedophiles are hiding in the left. Leftists will blindly defend their own ideologies, the guise of sexual liberation and freedom instead of taking accountability. And there have been groups lately on the internet saying that there are non-offending maps. Imagine if your son or daughter had these urges that they could not control. That's appealing to your emotions, yeah? Logic should tell you that this is a manipulation tactic and it's what they're great at because they practice it on children. This should be a nonpartisan issue. That's number one. And there are leftists who pretended to be a beacon of light and empathy towards me during that time, quickly turned me into their enemy for talking about a video game that you might have heard of called Hogwarts Legacy. At the time I'm recording this video, I still have not played that game. But just talking about it and saying people should have the freedom to play what they like got me canceled.
That's why instead of debating our enemies, a more effective approach we use is to deplatform them.
And one might argue, well, you shouldn't care about numbers on the internet. I don't care if people unfollow me, DMing my friends, quote tweeting me telling them to stop supporting me because I was a TERF. I am not trans exclusionary, I am not radical, and I'm not a feminist, which is just another word for misandry. I was outcasted talking about a video game by the left because me saying that everyone should have freedom to choose how they spend their free time was unacceptable. I was supposed to blindly adapt.
The most common tactic we use to quickly disable our enemies is to throw labels at them. Don't worry how accurate the label is. The accuracy of your throw is what matters.
Ad hominems and no true Scotsman fallacies. Right-winger, conspiracy theorist, TERF, bigot. Only a good person would stand with us on the left. Because, we oppose the system. I think you might be surprised of how much that system owns you. Virtue signal from an iPhone at a Starbucks on your MacBook computer. People on the right side of the spectrum do not self-diagnose their mental illnesses.
You are not obese, narcissistic, or have dysmorphia. You are simply curvy, self-loving, and require the removal of your...
They do not cater to delusions. They believe in biology and facts, axioms and logical consistency. To be fair, it is very difficult to find unbiased sources these days. I was looking up the origin of the term conspiracy theorist, which thankfully I already knew was created by the Warren Commission. If I didn't already know what I was looking for, I wouldn't have found it, because there was so much conflicting information. We live in a world where algorithms keep you in echo chambers. I was stuck in an echo chamber of the left, but now they had turned against me. So instead of an echo, I was being screamed at. People trying to tell me what I am, trying to identify me, ironically enough, as a bad person, lacking empathy, as a disappointment, as someone who invokes violence by questioning a narrative.
Please, Obama.
All these people who turned on me over something stupid like Hogwarts Legacy, hadn't watched my YouTube videos, hadn't been a sub to my channel or DM'd me in years. But all of a sudden, they remembered me when the mob came after me. Why would I want to stay in a hostile environment like that? I have learned how hostile the left is with their avid fighting for gender ideology in schools, indoctrinating young children into thinking they might need hormones that will have lifetime effects on them. People who gaslit and guilted for being apprehensive about vaccines or wanting to wear masks. Of course, I am vaccinated. But when I think back on it, it was societal pressure and pressure from the government. Through my research and understanding of how the government protects files, I have learned a lot. The leftist government is not there to help you. It is killing you slowly through the food you eat, the water you drink. It is using your tax money to aid a war effort. Instead of helping its own people, it is indoctrinating children. The left wants to call me homophobic. They want to call me transphobic. I've said it before, and I'll say it one last time. I want trans people to have what they need in order to integrate into society in the best and healthiest way possible as adults. Body dysphoria is a real thing. I know that. I had it, but I live my life as an adult woman, and I'm happy about that. What I do not support is fake people who are just narcissists, who are transitioning for clout and fame while insulting, making a mockery of women, threatening them, or trying to say that they will replace women, but you only get as much respect as you deserve. And the left wants me to respect people that have not earned respect, so I won't. The left wants people who are white to feel bad about being white. Reverse racism.
We're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept the rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. The mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. I believe This is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill, is the fault of white people. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment.
I will not feel bad because of how I was born. I will never judge someone because of pigment. Blame white people for everything, right?
Notice how whites are in a position of power, and since only those in power can be racist, this means only whites can be racist, and you cannot be racist against whites.
You should not feel like you need to apologize for colonization that your ancestors might have done. People that might not even be directly related to you at all. We need to be held accountable for our own actions. What's ironic is that people are no longer held accountable for their actions when they're detrimental to society. People get canceled for having opinions that are against the mainstream. Wrong think. It's financial inequality and the government choosing who to support. You should not assume that I am privileged because I am white. Right now I'm broke. I have lived dirt broke through many parts of my life. There have been ups and downs. There have been times in my life where I've had to wake up at 4 a.m. to get to my job at the warehouse by 6 every day, where we had mandatory overtime so I could buy food. And it had nothing to do with the color of my skin. And just how one should not assume that someone is privileged because they're white. You should also not assume that someone is an oppressed victim because they aren't.
Performing this ID scan reveals power dynamics and problematic targets to focus on.
We have become a superficial society.
Remember, no one is an individual. Therefore, everything that happens to a person must be a result of these identities.
It's like the backgrounds and individual circumstances don't matter. The United States civil rights movement fought to end segregation. Whatever happened to the idea of the melting pot? It's like saying that only people that come from certain cultures are allowed to enjoy those cultures. There's hate speech and there's speech that you hate. It's not cultural appropriation. You are not the sole judge on what is hate speech. The vocal minority is trying to destroy free speech, and that's primarily on the left.
So instead of discussion, try to discuss and shun.
It's like the extreme leftists needed to silence everyone to get their extreme views heard and put into the mainstream narrative. That sound healthy for society to you? The hypocrisy with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, of course, but the organization is crooked. I remember when Black Lives Matter was at its peak and I was streaming a lot. I even said Black Lives Matter publicly on my Twitter account. But I was getting lambasted by activists about how that wasn't enough, even though I had posted it all. It wasn't until I put the hashtag in my name. That's how much power the social pressure had. That's crazy. How can I support that? Critical race theory, gender ideology to children is wrong. The reason why I grew up not seeing color is because I didn't have that kind of indoctrination in school. I just saw them as classmates, as boys and girls. But even saying that I saw them as boys or girls is controversial now, right? Hi, Sophie. Pets have it so simple, don't they? The thing about arguments is that they require nuance. We live in a world where TikTok has destroyed our brains and our attention span to not past 8 seconds, where you can't say more than 120 characters at a time. Humans were not created to be this connected to each other. Our mental health is deteriorating every day. It is a shock to me that I will get hatred by mostly women, ironically. I'm not afraid to say how I feel anymore. What the left likes to do is try to keep you afraid of saying the truth.
I do recommend, though, since our enemies all happen to suffer from phobias, to keep extra phobic labels handy.
Because the truth isn't politically correct anymore. Because the political left congratulates and affirms delusion over truth.
To make this reality possible, we have replaced the problematic concept of the truth with a revolutionary new system. Introducing My Truth.
I believe that the left and the right can coexist. I would argue that most people are moderate. The culture war is really about the far left and the far right because they're the loudest. There are plenty of right-leaning people in my community now that I don't necessarily see eye to eye on with everything, but we have respectable civil discourse with each other and agree to disagree on some things. But with my experience, at least, with those on the left, it's very hard to just agree to disagree. If you're inside of a leftist echo chamber, it'll make you detest everyone on the right, even though not everyone on the right is far right. Some of us are just moderates that got pushed right. I don't think that everyone on the left is fake woke. I believe that the left is the one dominating the conversation. I don't necessarily think that progressive people are bad. You know, we have them to thank for a lot of equalities that we have now, which is good. But in the past few years, it has gotten vitriolic. The problem with progressives is that they see progress as being linear. If you think that being progressive is a straight upward trajectory, then that means that you think any progress is good progress. Sometimes you might be progressing, but not in the right direction. Sometimes you don't know where that path will lead. Progress is more like a bell curve. Once you reach progress, if you go too far, you start becoming regressive. And that's where we are today in society. We are regressing. For a while there, we really did reach a healthy level of equality where not all men had to be masculine, not all women had to be feminine, tomboys were healthy, being gay was healthy, being trans was fine and accepted. For the most part, like I said, this isn't talking about extremes. But because progressives cannot be satisfied, since progress is an upward linear line, it's not enough to have gay marriage be legal and accepted. It's not enough to have a pride parade. The left is now rolled us down the hill that they helped us originally to climb to get to that progress that we wanted in the first place, that equality. Now, instead of being a feminine gay man, you might just be a girl instead, or vice versa. And that is regressive and dangerous to society and dangerous to children. Because of my past, I will always want to protect the children first. People say to leave a better planet for the children, but I think we should leave better children for our planet. They're also trying to say that, sexuality is a bigoted genital preference and that we can unlearn that. And if you don't accept all kinds of people as potential partners, you're the problem, which is very similar to homophobic rhetoric that we escaped so long ago. Heterophobia. If being hetero was a bad thing, you wouldn't be alive to fight it. All the things that I've learned has lifted the veil. I've taken the red pill, per se. I cannot just live in blissful ignorance anymore. I did live in blissful ignorance for a long time, but I cannot unlearn or unsee the things that I have learned and seen. I can't ignore the virtue signaling hypocrisy that I see on the left, the gaslighting of the public, the poisoning of society that progressive leftist ideology is causing. I started really seeing a problem with this when a lot of my videos that I talk about very serious subjects, about things like the protection of children, get pushed down in the algorithm, where my videos of when I used to do game tutorials would be up in the 100,000s of views. I remember on YouTube when influencers were all making apologies for the things that they've said in the past. And I thought that was strange. For a generation of people that grew up on shows like Family Guy and South Park, it is very shocking to me. My generation is so offended by everything now. Big corporate companies who wave the pride flag for you and want to pretend they're on the right side of history, they don't actually care about inclusion or progressivism. They just care about your money. They will profit off of you, your identity, while virtue signaling the whole way. It's just manipulation. I remember how upset I was about Ketanji Brown Jackson being put in a position of power in the government because she is notoriously light on pedophiles.
I don't think she's in step with mainstream American thinking, although I think she is very much in step with liberal left Democrat thinking.
But when I really knew that it was all just pandering and that she wasn't really qualified to be in that position was when she was asked, "What is a woman?" She could not describe what a woman was.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Ketanji Brown is a perfect example of identity politics.
I didn't think I'd live to see the day that it becomes so contested, one woman asking another to define women.
And how is someone supposed to be qualified to enforce policies to protect women when they cannot describe one. Unbelievable. And I really wonder how people can be so blind at this point. Riots in the streets, mass shootings. There are so many problems that we can't solve that are out of our power, right? It's not hard to see that a certain demographic is being left behind. First, it was the straight white male. And now, as a biological woman, I feel threatened. History is being rewritten. People trying to re-gender Joan of Arc. People rewriting books to not seem offensive. It's fiction. Rewriting history means that you cannot learn from history. And history repeats itself. It's been proven over and over again. What's interesting about this is that it's only in Western society. People like to forget that Ukraine is against gay marriage. For example, while other cultures are thriving with heteronormative beliefs, the family unit is strong. Why do you think that is? Mainstream news media outlets will like to leave out important information to keep you focused on the wrong things in a story, like race, for example. This type of rhetoric being repeated over and over again eventually will make someone think that we are in this time of oppression from our peers. But really, I think that a lot of the problems in our world comes from negligence from the government towards its own people. That's my opinion. The Democrats have done a very good job at securing the vote of people by keeping the left and the right fighting with each other. So the conflict is always between us and never with the system. People even attack religion here in the West. Try attacking religion in the East. See how far that gets you. I'm an astrologer, but I can see the hypocrisy of everyone constantly sitting on Christianity and never any other religion. Cancel culture can, in fact, prevent real justice by placing the blame on the wrong people.
Right is wrong, left is right.
But I get it. Everyone is confused. People don't know what to believe anymore. We were all stuck inside the past few years. We're now at the point where AI can make a deep fake of anyone and make them say or do anything. So it's about time we learn discernment. So many people act on emotions, do what is trendy. They don't think for themselves anymore. Cognitive thought is rare. When you started seeing people who were brave and stood up for their own belief systems being silenced, that's when the problem really started coming to light. I am an advocate for freedom of speech. Let people say what they want, and then let the public decide for themselves what to do with that information. Me putting my voice out on the internet is dangerous. Not everyone is going to like these things that I am saying, but it is my right, and I'm thankful for that. So that means I am opening myself up to criticism and harassment. My point is, I was getting that before I even made a public statement about how I really feel about things. People on the left were making assumptions about me, conspiring against me, going behind my back and getting my friends to be against me before even knowing my true stance. So that's why I made this video. I'm not trying to upset you deliberately with what I'm saying here. I'm simply sharing my experience. These are my opinions and my observations. I just want to open up discourse to a deeper kind of conversation. So yeah, I was pushed out of the left over talking about a video game. I'm disappointed in how society has progressed. And my trauma with a certain person in my life really was the moment that changed everything. Seeing how that all transpired lifted the veil. I think that the left will continue to eat itself from the inside out and push people out. When people start forming and voicing their own opinions, the left will outcast and ostracize them too. But it will only make the right stronger. I hope this video has put some things into perspective. Feel free to comment down below and like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
So which side are you on? And if you aren't left, history will never forget that you were right. Wait a minute.
My President Sisi, CCS, I don't speak English 50-50. Thank you.